If you're dreaming of F1, but you need to know about the career path, then this is the video for you. I'm going to now look at different ways that race drivers have gone from where they started to where they ended up in sunny F1, which is what you're dreaming of. And believe me, I know how tough it is when you dream to be in Formula One, but you just don't know where to start. You don't know the career path. You don't know what's involved. It's difficult. You feel trapped. You don't know the first step to take. And because it's so expensive, which is what we've got to talk about here, it's ridiculously expensive now. It's millions and millions to get to Formula One that you need to pay, you need to access, someone needs to pay for you. It's confusing. So I want to simplify that for you. Warning, it's not easy. And even if you follow everything I say in this video, there's an element of luck. There's an element of timing. For when you're just on the edge of F1 that a seat opens up. There's so many things that have got to fall in place for you to make it, I promise. You can be the best driver in the world. It does not mean that you're going to go to Formula One. It's like life itself. Success is not guaranteed. You might do all the right things, but life has its own saying. Just as a warning. Right, let's get into this. Now, when you look at the F1 ladder, it is pretty obvious which championships you need to go to and win in order to get promoted to the next rung of the ladder. Now, this ladder system, the F1, F2, F3, F4, it is very straightforward. But I want to show you drivers that have gone a different way. I want to show you the reality of what it takes, not just to go up this ladder, but to be picked up by a race team or a junior program that can help you just go that last step, because that is the important thing, which we'll talk about later. Now, first of all, let's do case studies. I'm going to go through 3 drivers that I've coached personally that have gone to Formula One and a couple that I haven't coached but could get to F1 in the future and their career paths. Just so you get the overview and you can kind of start to plot your path and understand how this works. First off, let's look at Liam. This is Liam Lawson's career path. He started off in 2016 in Formula First. Then he went on to Formula Ford and won that in 2017. Did German F4. He did Formula 3 for 2 years, as well as Euroformula. He did F2 for 2 years, as well as DTM. Then in 2023, he did Super Formula until he got his debut when Daniel Ricciardo broke his wrist at Zandvoort for AlphaTauri. So his 8-year journey was quite extensive. There's a lot of racing there, a lot of championships, and a lot of years where he did multiple championships and the Macau race, so that he was busy. Now, just so you understand, and it's clear, this was a driver that had working class parents that didn't have the millions in the bank personally to make all this happen. Even though they spent over 7 mil or whatever it is, you can do the math, it's a lot of money to get to that point when he got the debut in F1. It wasn't his own money. They had to work like mad. And if you know the story, you know about Grant, who helped him out, who went out there and found the money for him and still does today, really works hard for him for free. He did it for free, just for his passion. Grant McDonald is golden. You'll notice that they did a lot of hard work to get that money in, but also Liam had to win. He had to kind of go out on track and show people he was the best. And even now, as I record this video, he has not got a secure drive in F1. All this work from everybody involved. That's just how hard this is. Let's move to Ollie Bearman. Now, Ollie's career, way more straightforward. He did German F4 and Italian F4 in 2020 and 2021, which he won both. In 22, he did F3 and then 2 years of F2. And as you might know, he did his F1 debut at the Jeddah race in 2024. Amazing, what a race. And that's really what made him and stood out. And this current year we're in now, 2024, he's having a torrid time in F2. Things are just not working out. But he's got the F1 contract and that's his path. Again, had to work really hard for sponsorship. He's got a sponsorship agency that are working for him. His dad's working like mad. It's amazing how everyone's come together to make that work because the family didn't have this money again. So let's just dispel all the myths that you need to be this super wealthy person in order to go to F1. It's not true. You need somebody with the money or a collection of people to help you pay for it. Yes, because you got to pay the race teams, but it doesn't have to be family money. And talking of that, the third driver I want to speak about that I coached, Esteban Ocon, that was someone who was even less wealthy than the two I've just spoken about. With his family, they lived in a caravan, for crying out loud, at the beginning of his career, just so they could put everything into his racing, his karting. This was his career path. So Esteban started off 2012 and 2013 in Formula Renault 2.0. Then he went on to F3, which he won, Max Verstappen being third. In 2015, he won GP3. 2016, he did DTM, and then 2017 in F1. Now, as you look at his path, it looks really straightforward. It's like, okay, you did the Renaults, you did the F3, GP3, a bit of DTM as you were filling in for like a reserve driver, and then you went to F1. But believe me, it wasn't that easy. He did the junior stuff as normal, but then he got to like GP3 level. He was out of money. His investors, who actually employed me, his investors couldn't put any more in. Even though he won F3, won GP3, he was at a loose end, no future, no guarantee of anything. F1 wasn't even, it was in his trajectory, but no one else's. They were not looking at him. Interesting. What did he do? Picked up the phone to Toto Wolff, Mercedes, pleaded for assistance. He had to get on his knees and say, come on, I've got nothing. I've proven I'm really fast. I've got all this. I just need some help. And he convinced Toto to take him under his wing. And from then on, he's pretty much been a Mercedes driver, should we say, and Toto helping him out. But he managed his career, got him into F1, and the rest is history. So once again, even though the drivers kind of did a similar route, Esteban didn't even touch GP2 or F2, by the way. He just went from GP3 DTM, then to F1. Bit different. This is interesting because it shows you got to be versatile. You got to be flexible with your career and put yourself in positions where manufacturers can see you. Young driver programs can see that you're winning in a good championship. So it doesn't really matter if you go and work for or drive for Mercedes in one of their touring car championships. As long as you stay under their umbrella, they can put you pretty much anywhere. And if Mercedes or whoever you're with happen to be in F1 and you're at the right sort of age, you know, they can see that you've been quick in a single seater, you never know. They might just say, we're taking you from this touring car and putting you straight in Formula 1. And with that in mind, let's look at Miata, who's in F2 right now. Look at his career. Now, over in Japan, usually the top drivers are doing both championships, Super GT and Super Formula, and that's really because the manufacturers employed them. Say Toyota or Honda have employed them and they've got them racing on both calendars. Then he shifted in 2024 to F2. So that's a very different way of getting to F1. I'm not saying he's in F1, but Toyota have got him. And they're saying, right, if we do go to a Formula 1 and your results are good, you're going straight in. A little bit like how Honda chose Yuki Tsunoda. So it's interesting when you're coming from the Japanese side of things, there's different ways. You've pretty much got to do really well in your country and then get the eyes, get the attention of somebody who is influential in Formula 1. Get them to take you under the wing. Same with Esteban and Miata. Same things, right? That's the approach they took. And then you never know what happens. If you just keep walking the line, getting good results, it'll loosen the wheels up to Formula 1. Talking of doing well in your country, one more driver, hasn't made it yet. He's in Formula 3 at the minute, Luke Browning. But he's done things a little bit different as well because he hasn't come from money either, by the way. He's got somebody to back him, Williams, F1 team, and he did it this way. Luke started his car career in the Junior Saloon Car Championship in a bloody Citroen Saxo. Then in 2017 and 18, he did the Ginetta Junior Championship, which is where Lando Norris started. 2019 and 2020, he was in British F4. Then finally, at the age of 19, he moved into the European racing by doing Italian F4 and German F4, before coming back to England in 2022 to compete in the GB3 Championship, which he won. Then 2023 and 24, he's been in the F3 Championship. That's a very interesting way that he's done it. And he also shows that you can't start too small. If you followed my content, you know I'm always pushing, don't aim too big on the things you can't afford because you're going to end up not getting the money together and having to drive at all. You'll be without. Instead, see what you can get the money for. Now, who would have thought Luke racing a Citroen Saxo back in 2016, being in Formula 3 and winning races and contending for the championship now when he's 22 years old? You wouldn't have forecast it, right? In his mind, he would have. But the public, as we look upon it, seeing someone in them club championships, you won't think much of them. But he kept going, kept winning, And that really essentially is what it's all about. One more thing I want to say that's quite interesting. Talking about getting people to back you. All of these drivers had a manufacturer or an F1 team backing them at some point. A pivotal point in their career where they were kind of at a loose end, not really going anywhere, but then they got noticed, they sold themselves, or their management sold themselves to a team or a program or a manufacturer. They got picked up and then they were on their way. So that seems to be the recurring theme here. As a driver, your goal should be, I've got to showcase myself. I've got to get in something I can win so people notice me. Then I'll just go up a level and win there. But I'm sure if I just keep doing this and keep talking to the right people and saying the right things, I'll get a following on social media as well. So make sure you're working on that, because that's also a valuable thing. People see you've got a lot of followers. Believe it or not, that's value. To sponsors, if you want to sell sponsorship, and even teams, because they're like, okay, people are warming to this driver. That's good, because we want to sell cars. If you're with a car manufacturer, we need a popular person. Popular person winning on track, that's worth it.